Hi, my name is Bryan Whitney, and I wish I could really be there for the Creative Pulse this summer, but I'm taking some students to France. So I guess I'll have to do that. I know, my life is rough. Well, for my field project, what I did this year was I created 3 courses for Udemy, which is an online learning environment. So I created 3 different classes teaching French. Mainly it's geared towards younger students or adults who also like learning, I guess, in a more youthful way or more childish way through songs, stories, simple conversations. And I used a lot of different fables and fairy tales, which I illustrated myself for most of them. Some later ones I found some images. And then I created quizzes and all sorts of online activities for those. So I created those courses, put them on Udemy, and then I also learned a lot about the marketing aspect, getting the word out, and actually having real students out there on the internet. So I learned a ton this year. And the reason why I did this, well, I have several reasons. One was just to learn more about the online learning environment, learning how to teach using technology, so I could also have more resources for my students, my current students here at Sentinel. Then I also teach a couple adult classes outside of school, so that way they can have different ways to learn, especially for those who are getting behind. They can go online and just get some extra practice, or for those who want to move ahead, which when I'm teaching at school I can only really go at one pace because I have pretty large classes and there's only so much I can do being the only French teacher here at Sentinel. So by creating these online courses, this gives them some other resources to use. And another aspect of it was just to create an extra income, a little bit of income for my family, since being a teacher, it's not like I'm super rich or anything, which that's something I'm learning more about and helps me in that way. And also just to deepen my understanding of my own subject and to be able to create myself. I especially enjoyed being able to do some drawings, and the huge learning curve of using a whole different system for teaching, using the technology. Even talking in front of a camera can be kind of intimidating, or talking to a mic. So what I'll go through next is go over a little overview, show you some of the courses, kind of what they look like, so you can kind of get a better idea of what this project encompassed.
In this part of the video, I'm going to show you some of my courses and show you around Udemy. So Udemy is the website where I've created my courses, and you can go and buy other online courses. There are a lot that are for free. So if I go to instructor, since these are the courses I created, it looks a little different from if you're a student. If I go to my instructor dashboard, and you can see my total revenue, so I have made a little bit of money. I started, my first course was published last July, so it's been about 11 months now. It shows my student ratings, so I do get feedback from students. It's out of a 5-point system, so it's doing pretty well with that. My total number of students is now 7,894. Most of those were free students. But it's a good way to kind of market myself, get the word out about what I'm doing, and then also it shows me where my students are from. And actually my number 1 place is Egypt, right with United States right behind it, and Australia. So it's pretty interesting. So then when you go down here, there are a few courses. The black ones are draft courses that I plan on working on in the future. And then the ones that actually have the image here on the left, and it says live, those are my actual courses. So the first course I made was Learn French Naturally for Children and the Young at Heart 1. Then I created Learn French Naturally for Children and the Young at Heart 2. And then I also created a free course, and it's a little bit shorter, but it's an intro to learning French through stories and conversation. So I'm just going to show you a little bit of Learn French Naturally for Children and the Young at Heart 1, so you can kind of get an idea of what my courses look like. So I'll click on Go to Course Roadmap. As you create your courses, Udemy has a whole system that shows you step by step how to create your course. It has a lot of really useful information there. So it makes it so you don't miss any steps. Also, even when you're finished creating your course, and before you publish it, they have a person who goes through and double checks everything, gives you feedback, because there might be things you need to change or improve. So I'm actually going to go to Preview here as a student, so you can kind of see what my course looks like as a student. So when you start off, that does have a little intro video here. You can see some recent questions, so if people have questions, they can, or I can answer that, other people can answer. I even have a question, why are you learning French? What are your goals? To get to know my students a little bit better. I can create announcements. Every month I can do 2 educational announcements or 2 promotional announcements as well. I'll go to course content so you can see a little bit of what I've created. So it starts off mostly in Udemy, you want to have a lot of video, and some text is fine. Then there'll be little quizzes as well. So if you go to section 1, it has a short video here where I introduce myself. So it's a little slow because it's kind of big, obviously. But anyway, you can go through and I introduce myself. The videos I actually did here in town at the MCAT, which is the local community station. So I have some videos where I'm in front of the camera, and then I also have other ones where I'm using screencasts where I take presentations and then speak over those, kind of like what I'm doing here. But so for example, I'm going to skip ahead. I also have some songs, some questions, etc. Let's see here. So for example, if we go to Le Petit Chaperon Rouge, section 17, this is one of my last ones. It starts off with a video with a vocabulary. You can also download a PDF of that. There's links to Quizlet and Memorize, which are some online activities to work with the vocab. And then there's a video where I show the story with the French text, but then I read it in English. And then there's also in French, so I want to show a little bit.
Le Petit Chaperon Rouge, l'histoire. Dans un petit village, il y a une petite fille. Elle s'appelle Petit Chaperon Rouge parce qu'elle a un petit chaperon rouge. Sa mère a fait le petit chaperon rouge pour elle.
And so for these stories, I use some different fables and fairy tales primarily. In this first course, I actually drew all of the illustrations myself, and my wife helped me with the coloring, because I really don't like coloring. And just creating the illustrations for the stories took a lot of time. And the stories themselves, well, I use the actual traditional fables or fairy tales. and I simplified it. So it's just using very basic French for beginners. And this story is the last one I have here. There are different options to speed it up or slow it down. But as you can see, most of the course is video. And after you've gone through, there are also little multiple choice or true false quizzes in there. I have some other, several other activities like the question personnelle, which have some simple conversation, which it's best to do with a partner. But you can also just practice as, speaking to the computer, pretending like you have a partner with you. But as you can see, I have quite a few different activities to really go deep with the stories. So this is my largest course, but you can kind of get an idea of what that looks like. And if you're interested, you can always go and find my free course. If I go back to instructor dashboard, well, actually, if you go to Udemy, I'll show it so you can find it yourself. You go to Udemy and then go to language and French. See if my computer will work with me here. Go to French. And the fourth one down is my second one. But if you go down to an intro to learning French through stories and conversation, that one's completely free. So you can always go and try that out for yourself. So just log in, create your account, and then you can choose this as a freebie and see some of my work yourself. You can even use your smartphone or regular computer, tablet, all sorts of things. So anyway, check it out. And if you have any questions about anything, please don't hesitate. Just let me know. Merci beaucoup.
So what are the biggest things I've learned by doing this project? For me, one of the big things is the difference between working face-to-face with students in a classroom versus using video cameras and microphones and all the online technology. Because the big difference for me there is when I'm face-to-face with someone, it's pretty easy to make that connection. I'm here and I can see how they react and I can play off of that reaction. But when I'm teaching online, unless I use Skype or some sort of video conferencing, most of what I'm using to teach are one-way communication. And for me, that can be a lot more challenging because it's harder to visualize my audience and to make that, I guess, really heart-to-heart connection. I know that it can be there, and it definitely takes practice. Even just being in front of a camera, being comfortable, and kind of being myself instead of, freezing up, which I can even feel a little bit right now. Another thing that I learned, and I'm still learning a ton about, is just the marketing, getting the word out, learning how to, find other students online and just create, I guess, more of an audience. So for that, I feel like I've just learned a tiny bit, and there's so much more for me to learn there. I feel like it's been a really rich experience, but I also feel like I'm just a beginner. Like I really just started about a year ago, and there's just so much more to learn. But I feel like I'm off to a great start. I'm really excited about what I'm going to do in the future. I have created more of a base audience, which I can just grow, and as I create more in the future, there's more people that I can help, more people I can reach, and also hopefully improve my financial well-being for my family, for myself, and just share my love and passion for teaching and for French. So thank you very much for watching this presentation. I really wish I could be there once again. But if you have any questions, please send those to me. And go ahead and check out my free course so you can get a better feel for what I've been doing. And oui, merci beaucoup et au revoir.